Once a month, when the moon reaches its highest point in the sky and the wild creatures call out to the night, he emerges from a private sanctuary in an undisclosed location outside of Little Rock, Arkansas. Arrayed in his priestly vestments, carrying forth the good news that comic books and graphic novels aren't just for kids, that they aren't just mass and spandex superheroes, that storytelling in a graphic format can be so much more. He is the Graphic Novel Apostle.
Hello and welcome back to the Graphic Novel Apostle podcast. I'm your host, Mark Orenberger, and I am so happy to be here with you, as always. And we have got something different and something fun today that I am very excited about. I have got a couple of returning guests to the podcast here today. I've got my good friend, Travelle McManus, who you may remember from all the way back on episode 5, the Radiant Black book club episode that we did. Travelle, how are you this morning?
Doing great. Glad to be back.
Man, I am so happy to have you back. And we have got my friend Van Borin, who many of you will remember from our Dogman episode, and also the son of Seth Borin, who some of you will remember from our Moonshine episode. How are you, Van?
I'm good.
Good. Man, it's so good to have you back here today.
I want to be back here. It's fun.
Oh, good. Now, you won't hear from him probably, but we also have a silent partner at the table today, my son Garrett, who is, of course, good friends with and the same age as Van. Garrett is going to be with us. Uh-oh, he's leaning toward the microphone. Garrett, you want to say hello?
My dad is cringe.
Your dad is cringe. Okay, well, that's a good place for us to start.
Sure.
So the reason I got these two particular guests today is because instead of doing a graphic novel like we normally do, we are going to be checking out a deck builder card game, a brand new game that has just come out from Solus Game Studios that is based on the book Radiant Black and the books that are built up around it, which are collectively referred to as the Massive Verse. And this is their fighting card game. This game just released about a week and a half ago at San Diego Comic-Con, and so it's a little bit out there in the world, but I don't think has had much of a chance to grow on yet. But the good folks at Solus Game Studios were kind enough to send us a couple of starter packs to check out, and we are looking forward to getting into it today. So I should have also said this. Of course, it may be very obvious to you why we have Travelle back, in that he was with us for our Radiant Black episode, but there was some influence that came out of that episode, and I'm sure it had more to do with Travelle than with me, but young Van here was riding along to school in his father's car, and they were listening to our podcast episode about Radiant Black. And Van, I guess you thought that sounded like it'd be kind of a cool series to look at.
Yeah, it sounded really good. And it was.
Yeah, did you check it out?
Yep.
Cool. Yeah, so your dad told me, he sent me a text one day and said that you were pretty interested in reading Radiant Black, and I think I loaned you guys my copy of Volume 1, but you ended up going well past that.
Yeah.
So you read Volume 1, and then what else did you get into?
I don't exactly remember, but I do remember reading Inferno Girl Red and thinking that was really good.
Okay, cool. And I know several volumes of Radiant Black as well, right?
Yeah.
And I understand that for Christmas, you got that first big Massive Verse hardback volume, the larger book, which collected a couple of those series.
Yep.
Cool. Well, because I knew how much you enjoyed it, I really wanted to have you involved for checking out this card game. And so if people listen to this episode today and think this sounds like a game that they might enjoy, I want to let you know that it might not be available quite when this episode comes out, but within a week or two it will. So on August 30th, the game is going to be available for purchase in Solus Game Studios web store. And so just look up Solus Game Studios and you'll be able to link there. And then online play for this game is also going to launch on August 30th of this year in BoardGameArena.com. Now, guys, I will confess to you, I am not someone who has any background with deck builder card games. But I learned as we were getting ready to start this morning that we have a champion in the house. Maybe not with a deck builder, but with another card game.
No, yes. So I am definitely the 2008 Richmond, Virginia Books A Million Yu-Gi-Oh! Champion. And so I have been really big with trading card games ever since I was a little kid. Started with Yu-Gi-Oh! Since I love Pokemon, just kind of naturally progressed it there as I got older, funny enough, like in high school, college, playing Pokemon trading card games. not a ton of experience with deck building games, but I was introduced to that in college by some friends. There was a Star Wars and a Marvel one, and that's really growing because there's a easy format for these type of games, and they usually are centered around big IPs, whether Marvel, Star Wars, now we're seeing Radiant Black. Like, if you have a universe, a world that's really interesting, that's really fun, making a deck building game is usually kind of not easy, but just a natural progression to keep that, to build a level of interaction within the fan base. So really excited that this world got it, because I really enjoy reading about Radiant Black, reminding me of Power Rangers, and so having this early access to it is really cool.
Yeah, and to give you guys an introduction to that Radiant Black massive verse universe, I would encourage you to go back and listen to episode 5 of this podcast, where Travelle and I went through volume 1 of Radiant Black. And I would be remiss if I did not also say Travelle is the co-host of the excellent Intake podcast with our buddy Carson Miller, and I had a great opportunity to go on that show and talk about my beloved Silver Surfer, who, Travelle, let's take just a second here. In the Fantastic Four movie,
yes,
okay, I loved this presentation of the Shalabal Silver Surfer. I thought she looked great. I mean, the character design, I thought the way they had her flying through the air looked slick, and I actually also really liked the way she was portrayed. It was less of the menacing and more of the dispassioned Silver Surfer, who actually has some empathy for the planets, but then develops a greater sense of humanity as well as the movie goes on. But what was your take on this?
Same. I mean, I really enjoyed it. I really thought that I know that was, a lot of people had different opinions about it being focused on her, but I really enjoyed the execution on that. That space sequence with her was one of my favorite Marvel action sequences I've seen in a very long time. We got to spend like a beat in Zenlaw, which I did not think we were going to be get to see. We just got a lot more depth to her character than we did in the early portrayals of Silver Surfer that we talked about on the podcast, and I'm really happy about that. Like, I don't think they did the character a disservice in the previous ones. I just think they added more context to that character, and the execution on that was really good.
For sure. And you and Carson on the Intake podcast did a whole episode on the Fantastic Four movie and breaking down your thoughts on the film. And so I would encourage people to go check that out. Okay, Van, let's turn to you just a little bit. Have you ever played one of these card games like this?
No, but me and my brother, we like to collect the Pokemon card game.
Mm-hmm.
Their cards, but we've never actually played the game.
So Garrett is very much the same way. He loves collecting the Pokemon cards, and he does not distinguish very much between whether it came from Pokemon Silver or Pokemon Violet or Pokemon Scarlet. I mean, he knows the differences, but he doesn't care. He wants to just collect the coolest cards. Is that kind of more or less where you guys are?
Yeah, I kind of fall. That's kind of where me and my brother fall, too.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
So when I was in about middle school, people started showing up at school with these Magic the Gathering card games. And so I was in middle school in the mid-90s. I graduated from 8th grade in 1994. And I always believed that that was when Magic the Gathering started, just because that was the first time I ever saw or heard of it. I don't know if that's true or not. Maybe it's been around since the 80s. Who knows? But I know that it is still popular today. Lots and lots of people play it. I know a lot of these games have moved to a lot of online play as well.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I never did it. I never played it one single time. And so this is all new to me, but I'm excited to check this out. And according to the material that Solus Game Studio sent along with these cards, you should be able to play a full game within about 5 minutes. And so for our listeners, what we're going to do is we're going to just spend a few minutes taking a look at these cards and how they're designed. And then we're going to go off air and we're going to play a couple of games and we'll just come back on and talk about it a bit. So, with that, I want to hand my good friend Van here this pack of the starter deck for the Massive Verse fighting card game, which has not yet been opened. And man, tear into that. Tell me what you think.
All right. I like how they show the names on the back in case, like, you're kind of rusty and you haven't read it in a while.
Yeah.
Which is kind of, I haven't read it in a while either.
Well, this game could be an introduction for a lot of people to the Massive Verse. In fact, you know, I'll admit, as much as I enjoyed Radiant Black Volume 1, I haven't read past that. I haven't read any of the related series. And who knows, maybe this card game will bring me in. So, yeah, go ahead and flip through the cards there a little bit and just see if there are characters you recognize or what you think. And Travelle, you got your own set as well.
Yeah. They have some damage tokens, and we haven't learned the rules yet either. So we're going to learn that, but we know that there's some damage tokens involved. So there's going to be like life for certain characters, damage tokens, so a way to keep track of that.
And Van, are you coming across any characters you recognize?
Yeah, I'm recognizing a lot of them. Like, I saw Radiant Black using attacks, Gravity Slam.
Okay, and are these all the characters in their costumes? Or do you also have, like, Marshall, out of his costume in his normal civilian look?
I don't see that. Wait, actually there is. Well, it shows his face as a regular civilian.
Okay, but does he have his costume on otherwise?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's one, and there's a card called Rest, and it shows him without his costume on. So I think kind of showing that. But most of it is centered around his suit and very focused on Radiant Black. Most of these are Radiant Black. What's interesting is that some of them are more focused on like an attack, like a specific attack that he does, more so than just him, the character. Like you'll see some of a close-up of just his glove, or his fist.
And it says denied on the card. I like that.
And yeah, some of these are named after specific attacks, moments. The final trial, you have one with him kind of facing off Premier.
I think, or is it? It's either Premier or Premier.
Okay.
I think it's Premier.
And so facing off Premier and Gravity Slam, another one of the attacks.
Oh, nice.
And
I'm just kind of looking across the table here. The art looks pretty sharp on those.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Very sharp.
The colors are well done. In fact, it looks, I'd say, pretty spot on to the comic.
Yes, it does. Like it could have been taken right out of the comic. And there's some icons at the top left with some have numbers, some don't. So I know that probably has something to do, especially like since some of these numbers are with the attack cards. So that might be related in that regard with the strength of the attack.
Sure.
I noticed that they all have they've got different symbols in the top left corner.
Uh-huh.
And that's probably going to play a role in what the card does.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Well, cool. So to our listeners, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and turn off for a few minutes. We're going to check out the rules to this game. We're going to play a few rounds, the four of us here at the table, and then we'll come back and talk about it. And so we will be right back. Okay, we are back after having spent, about 45 minutes or so playing this card game. And this is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
A lot of fun. So one of the things we learned getting into this, and by the way, I guess it took us maybe about 20 minutes and a practice round or two to sort of get the game figured out. And I think once you have it, it's easy enough to just kind of keep up. Now, building strategy is going to take some time.
Yes.
Well, of course.
But one of the things we learned in this process was that I didn't understand what a deck builder game was versus a trading card game. Travelle, can you talk us through this a little bit? Because I got to imagine a lot of our audience is going to be in the same position.
Yes, because when you think of like these kind of collecting card games, you think of Pokemon, you think of Yu-Gi-Oh! And that is a type of card. Those are trading card game, TCG, where you are gathering, collecting, essentially building. It's kind of weird because you hear deck building and you think, oh, well, I'm building the deck. And
that's what I thought.
And that's kind of true and it's kind of not. Where the TCG, trading card game, that's more of building and assembling a deck where you're dealing with 40, 50, 60 cards. And so like this is a pack of 18. So I was wondering like how they build out a game where you're only using 18 cards. And with deck building games, a lot of times the deck is already set for you. So the deck has already been built, which is why it's in the name. And the deck that is built assembles out as you play the game. And so...
Yeah, so and to put it into kind of my more outsider's terms for that, when I think of Garrett going and picking up, wanting a Pokemon deck when we go to a store, what I'm getting him is a hodgepodge grab bag full of cards in this little package that might or might not serve the purposes in any game.
Yes.
Now, for his collecting purposes, it's either a duplicate of something he has or something new.
Mm-hmm.
And he'll either be woefully disappointed or very happy if he got something that was shiny or whatever. And if you were to play the game, that could increase the power of whatever deck he's going to bring into the game.
Yes.
And that's a TCG trading card game.
Yes.
Okay. Now, with these deck builder games like this, I think the way I'll have to think about these going forward is like a board game. All of the pieces you need are in the package.
Yes.
And so I'm not going to... There are expansion packs to this game that we have here. I mean, we got the starter pack, which means there are 2 decks. You mentioned there being 18 cards. That is, there are 9 cards associated with the character Radiant Black, and there are 9 cards associated with the character Premier. And I also had this perception as well of how these games worked, also not having had a distinction between trading card and deck builder games. But I had this perception, like, if you wiped me out in this, you would go home with my cards or my best cards.
No.
And you were telling me your Yu-Gi-Oh got a little bit like that in your middle school?
Yes.
Tell me about that.
I mean, because in the show that was a concept, but you can see for numerous reasons why that wouldn't be great in theory. But there was stakes in the show where if you lost, you would give the character who beat you your best cards. Mm-hmm. But in the real world, I mean, if you have a whole deck built, like Yu-Gi-Oh, there are decks built around, like one of my decks is built around one card. Mm-hmm. So if I lose that card, my deck is no longer useful.
Yeah.
And so the idea that like I can go play against a friend, lose to that friend, and now I lose that card. Like you could just see all the problems that can occur from that. So I mean, that's definitely I've seen deck building games with that kind of concept where you are taking cards from each other, but I like how you describe it as a board game. Like all the pieces are already set, everything is kind of laid out for you.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of taking the deck and building it out among itself, which is exactly what this game does in a really cool and clever way that I just found fascinating.
Well, and so you have got these 2 decks, the Premier deck and the Radiant Black deck. You're not going to be trading cards across the table from one another. You are playing your own deck the entire time. And you can get cards, your cards can be spent, and then there are ways that you can pull them back into your hand. But I like that it's a little bit contained like that. And then the fun part that helps you build in different strategies depending on which character you're playing is we observed that there are 2 different strengths at play in these 2 decks. And Travelle, do you want to, and I'm not trying to leave you in the quiet here, and I want to hear in a second which one you preferred to play. But Travelle, can you sort of explain that difference between these 2 decks?
Yes, and Van actually explained it really well. Of like these the genius of it is that the character's playing style in the game relates to how they are in the comic. And so where Radiant Black, his strategy was more so a disruptor / healer, where his focus was affecting the enemy's ability to play certain cards while also healing bringing back health to him with certain cards, where Premier is all strength. It's just doing a lot of damage and really focusing on the counter element of the game, where since you and your opponent are choosing your attacks at the same time, that leaves room for counters, and counters just have a bigger weight with Premier's character doing more damage and being quick and effective in that way. So it was really cool because you're playing two completely different styles and then clashing together to see which one can be more effective. And it really does just come down to the player and how well they use that ability to their strength.
Yeah, and to give listeners an idea, you have these 6 different types of abilities that are in each player's deck, and they both have the same types of abilities at different levels of strength. And so each player has a power card, an intelligence card, an agility card, a blocking card, and the rest card. And so listeners understand, your goal in this game is to eliminate the health points of your opponent. Each character has 10 health tokens or 10 health points to start with. And your attacks on the other, if they're not blocked, will eliminate 1 or 2 health points from that person. And meanwhile, you might also build up some energy points that do some of the more complicated cards that are part of the thing as well. But basic idea, make your opponent lose all their health. Except there is a glitch in the matrix, because there is one play that can end the game instantly with a move that's called Execute, where you could be down 9 health points, and your opponent could have all 10 of theirs still, and you could end up pulling out a win in the last second. And we'll talk about that in just a minute. But Van, did you prefer playing Premier or Radiant Black?
Now, don't get me wrong when I say this. I love Radiant Black. I love him. I'm a fan of Radiant Black. But I would go with Premier a little bit more, because it's just easier for me to play with a character who is more powerful and speedy than defensive.
So you want to go attack.
Yeah.
And Travelle, do you think, and I realize our play here has been very limited. We've played, 4 or 5 rounds. But do you think that playing the Radiant Black characters deck, you're required to be a little more strategic?
Yes, there's a little bit more finesse, because there's more to Radiant Black's abilities and movesets than there is Premier. But like Van said, and I agree with him, I'm the same way. It's just when you are, especially with a basic deck, when you can just do really strong and quick damage, it is just fun to play. But and it doesn't make Radiant Black's character better because there's more finesse to it. It's just a different style.
Yeah.
There's more to it than where he is more defensive. He can help you bring back health, which is great if you're trying not to hit 0. It causes you to make your opponent discard cards where you can have you can predict their next move a little bit better, which is very big with this game, because there's the countering element, which is kind of like rock, paper, scissors.
That's a good comparison. Yeah,
where you just, and so there is a lot to Radiant Black's character that is still enjoyable, but Premier definitely has a really good moveset that makes him a fun time as well.
Cool. And what we have here are the starter packs. In the QR code that was included with this starter pack, where it took you to a little instructional video and a written out set of instructions as well, it explained that you'll be able to buy, if you decided you want to jump into this game, their core box and then something else called a team-up box that are expansions. But so the core box comes with 8 different characters, including Rogue Sun, Infernal Girl Red, and, I'm going to hope things like the Dead Lucky and, Radiant Pink and, some of these other characters. And I'm going to guess that their decks are probably built on their character traits also, which, what a cool idea.
Yeah.
And then the Massive Verse Team-Up expansion box says that 4 players will play this in 2 versus 2 duels, and it comes with 4 additional characters. So I got to imagine that gets a little more complicated.
It does, yeah.
And that's more than this brain is ready for. But I think if I played a good amount of the this Massive Verse game, maybe we'd be ready for that at some point.
Yeah, I feel the same.
So, Van, what did you think? Would you be interested in getting like the expansion pack with the 8 characters and playing this some?
Yes, because I like this game because it's not necessarily luck, but it requires skill, is what I'm saying. And in some games that I noticed, it's like impossible to play a bad card, but you have to be precise with like which card you pick at what time, the timing and all.
Yeah, and one of the things we observed is that a lot of card games, you are reacting to the other player's moves. And so in some ways you think about like poker like that. You see what bet somebody else makes or how many cards they choose to, give back to the dealer and have redealt, and you can make your strategy based on your reaction to what they did. In this game, each player picks a card and plays it face down on the table at the same time. And then they're revealed at the same time. And so you're not reacting to what your opponent has just done. You are in some ways building a new strategy blind based on what they have done before. It's more forward-looking than
Yes.
backward-looking, I think, if there's a logic to that.
Yes, and then to go off Van's point too, like, because there's no deck, and like the luck aspect of it is like there's no deck that you're drawing from. Like, you're not being reliant to having a good hand. Like, you have full control over the cards in your hand, and when you play them, when you get them back into your hand, you're not drawing from a pile of cards in like a Yu-Gi-Oh or a Pokemon. So there's less room for luck to play a role, where it really does come down to countering, just being proactive about thinking ahead of what what movesets they have left, how you can counter that, how you can think ahead. And that makes for some really fun and just like crazy moments that we kind of experienced downstairs.
Yeah, you know the universe of what your opponent's potential moves are at all time. And so when they play a card, if it gets exhausted is the term here. Think about having to put a card in your discard pile from a different type of card game. Those cards are left face up on the table. And so you know what cards are not in their hand, and you know what cards are left in their hand. The question is, which one are they going to play? And there is a card called the rest card. And this gets into that like sudden fatality movement, and I'll have you guys talk me through that. But just the basics of the rest card is I can play it on my turn, and if I do successfully play this rest card, all of the cards I've already discarded are then brought back into my hand, including the rest card, so I could use it again. And so now I've got more options available to deploy, and it makes it harder for my opponent to predict what I might play next. But I'm going to ask Van this question. Van, what is the risk of playing my rest card? Because it sounds like it's all upside.
Yeah. Well, there's a huge risk of playing your rest card, because there's one card, I think it's called your weapon card.
That's right, your weapon card.
Yeah. And if you play your weapon card, when your enemy plays the rest card, then it's an instant win for you.
Yeah.
Instant win.
In the little training video that they had available on YouTube from the game makers, it actually did like a digital dagger, that went through the other player's chest.
Yeah, that was fun.
Which was kind of fun. Yeah. Because it is sudden death. And in fact, the very first, we were trying to read the instructions and try a test round at the same time. And Travelle and I played around against each other while Van and Garrett played around against each other. And by the way, Garrett decided he didn't want to join us for the second half. And I'll talk about that too in just a second. But it was not for not enjoying the game. It was an entirely different reason. But the very first round that Travelle and I played, he was wiping the table with me. He was, cleaning me up. And we got down to where we both had about one card left, and call it lack of experience. He was left with his with his rest card, and I was left with my weapon card. And so, despite being just beat up the whole game, I got that sudden fatality.
It was and it was just being, I guess, not focusing on that aspect of it. Because I came in hot. I was like, I can show off my trading card game skills, thinking ahead of my opponent. So I'm countering. I'm feeling confident. I'm like, I understand this game. And then I'm left to my rest card, remembering that rule. And it's like that just adds a nice little wrench to it, to where you can never, even as you get ahead, and that was most of the games actually ended that we played because of that.
Yeah, that's right.
There was only one game where Van actually successfully got marked down to 0 hit points, but
he beat me.
Usually it was someone played rest while the other person played weapon, and it was like we know that this is about to happen kind of moment, because you're just not thinking about it until all of your cards have been discarded and you're left with a rest card and another card, or just a rest card, which is just an automatic defeat unless the red card is discarded. And that's kind of the strategy we learned, is like trying to either bait your enemy into using their weapon card a little bit early, so then you can use your rest card freely, or just using it a little bit sooner before they start thinking about using the weapon card. But having that in the front of the mind as you're playing adds a really nice twist to the game, where no matter how ahead you are or how you there's always a chance for the enemy to come back and for you to lose. So it's really good.
Yeah.
And I thought it was kind of fun where the times where I thought I was deploying some strategy and playing my rest card to restock my hand. When I laid that card down flat on the table, face side down, and my opponent laid their card down as well, I felt like a little flutter in my tummy.
Yeah.
Because I was like, is there going to be a weapon on the other side?
I'm pretty sure Travelle can read minds. He played the same thing as me so many times.
Yeah, Travelle, it seemed like Travelle had your number, but you beat him once, didn't you?
Yes.
Yeah, I beat him once.
Because as I was doing that, I still kept holding on to that rest card until it was too late.
Yeah. And so we should also reveal to the audience that in the recording of this episode, we likely have had the world's first massive verse fighting card game related injury, which is why
Probably
Garrett
right.
is not back with us. Now, Garrett and Van are both 10. They're both getting ready to start the 5th grade here in about a week or maybe even just a few days. I should probably figure out what day school starts. As of this recording, I guess by the time it's released, they'll be back in school. But Garrett was excited to be playing host, and he was going to get some more drinks for us around the table. And he was running in socks to go across the kitchen and get us all something. And he slipped on the floor, and man, that kid banged his ribs on the side of the table.
I know that
hard,
feeling.
or on the side of the cupboard. Yeah, I mean, we all do that thing once in a while. But the poor guy, he's resting up now rather than rejoining us on the podcast. To the good people at the Solus Game Studio, we do not hold you responsible in any way. The graphic novel Apostle Podcast
That was not
absolves
your
you.
fault. That was not your fault. Don't worry about it.
Well, cool. Travelle, is this the kind of game that you feel like you might actually engage with further?
Yes, I mean, I love card games. I've been playing card games ever since I was 10. And so I miss not having the college circle I had where these were the type of card games that we were playing.
Yeah.
And because I think this is something that they actually text my sweet mates who we just kind of talk about games and different stuff with about this, and just was saying like, I think this is something that we would enjoy. And so I think my hardest obstacle would be just finding people that will be willing to entertain this with me. But it has a video game like feel to it where you are, you're taking turns, choosing your attack, choosing when to defend. And I really enjoy that. And I like games that are more skill driven than luck driven.
Yeah.
And like Van said, that's very much the premise of this game, is that it's very much rely on your ability to understand your opponent's movesets, their playing style, and being able to counter that. And that's the type of games I enjoy playing. So yeah.
Yeah. And Van, you said you'd be interested in playing some more of this too.
Definitely.
Okay, cool. And I'll say for myself, I'm not a card game guy. Mm-hmm. I like to play, hearts or spades or something like that once in a while. But in general, and we play a game called Hand and Foot with 4 decks of cards that we like a lot. But these other types of intellectual property-based games, I never have before, as I said a couple of times on this podcast. And I don't know that I'll start now, but I'm happy to say that I had a lot of fun doing this today. And I could see how someone who does enjoy those games would get into this for sure. And I also think, especially once we realized, and Van, I really want to call you out for picking up on this, that the deck's orientation toward whether it was more attack or more defend, its balance sort of related to that character's personality. I gotta think, like, if I bought this larger pack that's got the 8 additional characters in it, I think I would probably want to read deeper into the comics, too.
Oh, yes.
So that's cool, to better understand those characters. It's a cool world, and, even though I haven't read as far into the Massive Verse books, comic fans love them. There was so much excitement when Radiant Black came out in comic book shops. People were like, this is just incredible. And I thought it wasn't for me. And I was certainly convinced by that first volume of Radiant Black, Travelle, that you and I read for the podcast. Man, I get how people dig it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, guys, do any of you have anything else you want to wrap up with before we go?
No.
Van, do you have anything you want to plug? Any big projects you're working on, or movies you're going to be in, or anything?
What?
I'll take this one.
I guess one thing that Ben and I both can talk to is that we are very excited. In me and Mark's podcast episode, we talked about manga. We kind of dived in there just very briefly about like anime, Japanese manga. And one thing that Ben and I both have in common is that we're big Demon Slayer fans.
Oh, yeah.
And it is a very exciting time because next month, the Demon Slayer movie is coming out to theaters.
Oh, okay.
And this is the first time that they are truly taking the story that we've been watching on TV weekly and telling the rest of the story in a theater-like experience.
Okay.
They've done it before, but then it was weird because they did it and then they went back and redid it for like the TV format. But this is all like, this is it.
Okay.
So you get the movie and that's how they're going to end the story. And it's already been out in Japan for about a month now. And and it has a bigger sway there, but like sold out theaters, pack arenas. One thing that Demon Slayer is known for is just having some of the best animation style that we've ever seen in an anime. And from what I'm hearing, they take that and they just go to a whole nother level with this movie. And so I know we're both really excited about it. And that's just something that just has been on a lot of the anime and manga fans' minds right now.
So cool. Well, I'm excited for you guys. And Van today, actually, it's fun. Van has been borrowing volumes of One Piece from Garrett, who got a couple of big box sets over the last couple of big holidays, birthday and Christmas. And Van today not only returned some books and got some new ones, but also brought the first 3 volumes, I think, of Demon Slayer for Garrett to check out. And so to his grandparents, who are probably listening to this podcast and wondering why I'm going to let my son read something called Demon Slayer, I understand it's actually fairly safe for kids.
Yes.
It's good. I won't risk his mortal soul.
It is gory, but I mean, it's not bad.
Well, that's okay. Hey, I would encourage you guys to check out this game. We'll put a link to it in our show notes, but you can find information about this game at solisgamestudio.com. That's SOLIS gamestudio.com. And an online version of this is also going to be available very soon at boardgamearena.com. And so if this sounds interesting to you, check it out. And as always, I am so glad to have you guys here with me today. Check out Travelle's great podcast, the Intake Podcast. And thank you all for listening. And until next time, keep reading those comics.